I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you very much for coming out on a beautiful day. First item on the agenda is going to be some commission reports, and the first is going to be presented to us, it looks like a presentation by our Police Chief Darren Moody.
Thank you, Commissioners. I got two things for you today. The first and foremost is the Employee of the Month, Sarah. Come up front.
Hey, she won it last month. Or last year, sorry.
Well, she won Employee of the Year for the Police Department. This is for the entire city Employee of the Month.
Boy, oh boy.
So she's moving up.
Absolutely.
Sarah's one of those people that if you don't have around, things just won't get done at your place. She pretty much holds it together for us at the police department, takes care of us, makes sure we do the right things, make sure all of our records are accurate, our evidence is collected. And especially in the last 6 months or so, Sarah's pretty much worked by herself up front. So we took what was 3 people doing a job to Sarah doing it pretty much by herself over the last few months. And she's held it together. Occasionally there's some vent sessions when she comes in and talks about it, but overall she's held it together, and we hope to be getting her some help pretty soon. She's the face of the police department. She's the person everybody sees when they come in the door. She's always customer friendly, smiling, and happy to help folks. She's an example of what the city should hold in customer service. And Employee of the Month, Sarah.
Great.
I didn't know if they want to take a picture or what. Yeah, the commissioners.
Oh, sure.
You guys stand over with them and get a picture. I'll let you guys do it.
Gordon's over there.
Right over there? Right in the pit. Right in the pit.
Boy.
That's what we were doing.
Wow. The cameras, this is like always.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, pizza. Pizza. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Quick about Sarah?
You're not going to tell us that she was your babysitter or you babysitted her?
And I changed her. No, I only did that to Logan. He deserved that. Sarah, I want to tell you congratulations. And I want to share a little bit about Sarah. When I first started, when this building opened in '99, and I started working customer service in the civic building under Mark. No, I was under Ron, and then I went under Mark. But anyway, Sarah, whenever she came downstairs, she didn't know who I was, or I wasn't sure who she was. She always said hi. She always said, "Hi, Kathy. How are you?" And I'm going, I don't even know her, but she's asking saying my name and asking how I was. So I am so proud that you got this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Thank you.
I have one more item that wasn't on the agenda, but I'd like to if I can. If you may have seen him around town towing some cars or doing some code enforcement work for us as a temporary employee over the last few months. Today's his first day of employment as a full-time community service officer. He was hired to fill the role down at the police department with code enforcement and community services at James Belleville.
Thank you very much.
And the third thing on the agenda is actually MaceCom, but since we're in the same building, it's like we're the same team. So, Mary, you going to come up?
Wow.
Good afternoon. We wanted to take this opportunity, with your permission, of course, to recognize one of our supervisors who was nominated for the Washington State APCO NINA Telecommunicator of the Year for 2016 for sustained superior performance. Barb, can you come up? Barb truly is our glue. Sarah may be the PD's, but Barb is ours. And in addition to supervisory duties, she is our TAC. She also is our training coordinator, oversees all of our training officers, while working a full-time console dispatch duties on top of it. So she is she embodies everything that MaceCom is striving to be, wants to be, and currently is, and we are very grateful that we have her as part of our team. So we wanted to take this opportunity to recognize her nomination for that award this last year.
Very good.
Thank you very much. All right, next is our weekly commission reports, and so just to tell the public what activities we have on our agenda, and I usually start with Commissioner Moore first.
Okay. Tomorrow morning, I will be attending the legislative breakfast. I also have a Housing Coalition Executive Board meeting as well as a Housing Coalition Regular Board meeting. On Thursday, I have a Moving Mason Forward meeting, and on Friday, it's the Peninsula Regional Transportation Planning Organization annual tour, and this year we will be touring projects in Jefferson County. And that's it for this week, other than remember your dads on Father's Day.
All right, Commissioner McDowell.
Tomorrow morning, I'll be attending the legislative breakfast, and what that is Tim Sheldon going to be here too?
It's up in the air on that.
Okay, well, Dan Griffey and Drew McEwen, our two state representatives, will be here, and they will be sharing what has gone on, what is going, and what hopes to be done with the state legislature. So that's going to be tomorrow morning. Wednesday, I have my chambers after hours at the Peninsula Credit Union, and Thursday, my weekly briefing with Ryan. That's my week.
Okay, thank you very much. Tuesday, I will also be attending that legislative breakfast here at the Civic Center. I believe the time is like 7:30.
Yep.
Okay. And the afternoon, I'll be at my monthly MACECOM board meeting. Then on Thursday, I have a staff briefing. On Friday, I had written in my big black book that I was supposed to speak to a class in a school here in Mason County. And unfortunately, I just wrote that down, and I didn't write any phone numbers or where that class is. So please, if I was to speak to your class on Friday, it'd be a good idea to get in touch with me before Friday so that I might show up. And so I hope I can find maybe it was something, and I just made a note of a tentative date or something, but anyway, I will definitely be there because I like going into the schools and talking to the kids. So that looks like that completes our weekly schedule. And so next would be the general public comment period. And we ask people to sign a little card and then allow them 3 minutes to talk to us about any subject that is interesting to them and interesting to us. So did we have somebody signed up today?
We do. It is Randy Lewis.
Hi, everybody. Randy Lewis. I would like to make a few comments about this whole fee reduction thing. First of all, let me congratulate the mayor for having the insight to recognize that a new house that would not have been built had the fees not been lowered adds future revenue that has economic value. As the mayor knows, when making these types of decisions, immediate cash flow is not the only consideration. The long view must be considered as well. But speaking of immediate cash flow, let us talk about the famous $65,000 loss. It was said in a recent meeting, some looked at the spreadsheet and saw a $65,000 loss. Others looked at the spreadsheet and saw a spurt of growth. Here's what I saw when I looked at the spreadsheet. A $65,000 number, that was a bad number. The best that can be said was that it was a good try at an estimate. Here's an example. Suppose a husband and wife work at SBI. Further suppose the husband's salary is $50,000, the wife's salary is $100,000. What would you say the total family income is? You would say to me, Randy, you idiot, it's $150,000. Now suppose the wife gets laid off. What is the family income now? You would say to me, Randy, you idiot, now it's $50,000. But suppose I then said, but one out of the two people, or 50% of the total family wage earners, was laid off. To arrive at the new income, let's reduce the $150,000 total by that 50%. Thus, the new income is $75,000. You would then say to me, Randy, you're a bigger idiot than I thought you were. This calculation error is essentially the adjustment that on the spreadsheet that was made as part of the calculations that resulted in the incorrect so-called $65,000 loss. If anyone wants to nerd out, I'd be happy to go over the details of the flawed calculation on the spreadsheet in public if you would like. Now, there could be other reasons that number is bad. Perhaps the survey structure or the base data was bad. I don't know. My point is, even if those were perfect, the data as pure as the driven snow, the number would still have been incorrect because of the flawed calculation methodology on the spreadsheet. So here's the main point. Once the $65,000 number is corrected, add to that corrected number, the net present value of the future revenue streams the mayor wisely talked about to arrive at the total economic benefit of reducing the fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Is that it? No more? All right, so at this moment, what I'd like to do is recess out of our regular session and open a public hearing for a resolution. And this is going to be presented to us by our Associate Engineer, Logan Brady.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. The public hearing is for the 6-year TIP, or Transportation Improvement Program. The main purpose for a 6-year TIP is for local agencies to prioritize their transportation projects anticipated to be done in the next 6 years. It is required to be updated and adopted annually. We compiled a list of 16 transportation projects that could possibly go underway in the next 6 years, and we would like to move that to the action agenda following any public comment. The action agenda for the 19th.
Okay, this is an action agenda item, and so what I wanted to do is at this time open that up for any public testimony concerning this issue. And if there's none, then I would ask my fellow commissioners if they have any more public comments or questions concerning this issue.
I have none. I'm fine with moving it forward.
I'm fine also. I'm excited. 16 projects. Pretty cool.
And we do this every year. We touch this every year, and we update that and whatnot. And so I have no real questions about this. So at this moment, what I'd like to do is close the public hearing and return to our regular scheduled program. And what we need to do is see, it appears that staff does concur to move the 6-year TIP to the action agenda item for June 19th, 2017. I believe we concur with that, so thank you very much for your time. All right, now moving forward to the consent agenda. Are we ready for a reading of the consent agenda?
I am.
Yes.
Okay, Corey, could we please have a reading of the consent agenda?
Consent agenda. Vouchers numbered 14684 through 14688 in the amount of $7,923.49.
Is there a motion to approve that agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda as read.
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda passes. Now, under our official action agenda, we have, I think, 3 items. The first is going to be, again, presented to us by our Associate Engineer, Logan Brady, concerning the TIB.
Thank you again. In early May, the Transportation Improvement Board of Washington State, for the first time ever, approved an emergency repair program due to the harsh weather this winter. City staff immediately jumped on that and went out and located several pavement repairs that met the qualifications, submitted photographic evidence to the TIB, and we were awarded the maximum $50,000 to repair those sections.
That wasn't just because of your good looks, I'm sure.
I'm sure not.
Well, I'll just jump out there and say kudos to staff. you know, this is the kind of stuff that makes our city have the ability to move forward faster with limited amount of resources that we sometimes have. And this, I'm just excited about this. This is good news for Shelton, good news for the city. And so just thank you very much for watching out for these things. And so I'm sure that my fellow commissioners have other things to say.
Yeah,
too.
good job. Will,
Thank you.
I don't know if this is too soon, but will any of that money be matched with our transportation benefit district money to make the project go further?
Possibly, yes. There's a required 10% match.
Okay.
So we spend 5 to get 50.
Oh,
The money does need to be spent to repair the sections that we addressed in the application.
right.
And the repairs need to be completed by the end of August.
Okay.
So we'll be getting those underway very soon.
Okay.
Yeah, at this time, all we need to do is get the application or the award letter signed and returned back to them.
Very good. Good job.
And I
Congratulations.
Thank you.
did already ask for public comment on this. Did I catch that? Okay, well, it looks like somebody's raising his hand, so would you like to speak on this issue?
Yes.
You can, you just have to fill the card out.
Okay, it's just a question.
Well, you have to, we got the new rules. The rule news.
You're not voting on this today.
Steve, the cards are back there.
No, it's under action agenda item though, under that.
I apologize.
I'm sorry,
you're
I
right.
just, yeah. So Steve, you can talk. Listen, we're a small community. We all know one another.
Hi, my
and,
name's Steve Andruski. and
Okay,
thank
did you fill out that little
commissioners.
card?
Yes, I filled
Okay.
it. I will
Yeah,
fill
I'm making sure you did.
Yes, I will fill this card. Thank you,
All right.
thank you, commissioners. I just had a question as I heard this. What locations are we going to see these streets repaired? That's my question.
We have a priority list.
And is
I
that?
don't have it with me, but we have
is
a
it-
priority list. and
We can
so-
answer it offline.
I can speak to that.
Yeah,
Thank you. And I'll fill this out.
okay.
So when we put together the application, it required photos with the areas to be repaired outlined in white paint. I can submit those. There was 3 different locations on Railroad Avenue from 12th Street east. There's one location, at least one location on Olympic Highway North, location on 13th Street, 2 locations on Johns Prairie Road. I can submit the photographic evidence of those at our next meeting.
I would like to see those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so at this point, what we're looking at is just for the commission to concur that we sign this grant agreement and accept this emergency repairs grant from, grant award form from TIB, and I believe we all obviously concur with that.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much, Logan.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 2 under our action agenda is a latecomers agreement for our water system, and that's going to be presented to us by our Public Works Director, Craig Gregory.
Thanks, Mayor, Commissioners. As we talked about last week, the contract that you have in front of you for the latecomers agreement is the same contract that we looked at, or the same agreement that we looked at a few months back. The only change to it was to include the port properties that abut the water main extension that Washington State Patrol had paid for to install. So other than that change to the calculation and the compensation that we will be giving Washington State Patrol to get hooked up to the system are the only changes to this that we have from the last one that you actually saw and agreed to move forward with.
So is there any public comment that wants to be specifically tied into this subject? If nobody signed up, then we will move forward with our comments and questions about this. Any questions or comments?
No.
No,
Been
I'm
talking
pretty clear.
about it
Yeah.
for a while, and I think it's pretty much straightforward. So at this time, I would...
I do have a
Yes,
comment.
sure.
Excuse me, it came to mind. I've heard several people say, why is the city giving the State Patrol water? We're not giving them water. They paid for that. We're just our part going back to it, right? As a city.
They paid for the water main
Right,
installation,
right,
that is
right,
correct.
Right, and so.
And part of this agreement,
Mhm.
the main focus of this agreement is that it qualifies the city of Shelton for $1.5 million worth of loan forgiveness once we get them hooked up to the system and disconnected from their existing well. So it's been a focus of not only the public works staff, but all of city staff to get this taken care of and get this done.
I just wanted to clarify that to people, because some people are saying, well, the city's giving water to them. We're not giving them water.
We are providing them water
But it's.
for a
it's-
charge, the same
Right.
as we do every
Right,
other customer
right,
that we have.
right.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to clear that up. Thank you.
Public comment period.
Well, it was.
I just had a question.
Well, we can't do that, so you have to come up and sign a card, and we can give you 3 minutes.
Oh, sure, let's. okay.
But you have
I
to
can
do it that way. You can do it, then you
Okay.
better come on around.
I figured you let Steve do it.
No, we just to make people sign up the card and state their name for the record.
I just had a question on the loan forgiveness.
Just state your name for the record.
Randy Lewis.
That's good.
I'm a proud resident of inside the Shelton urban growth area. I just had a quick question, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. My perception reading the thing is that yes, there's a $1.5 million loan forgiveness, but there's a list in there of people on the line that are getting charged special fees or whatever. Maybe that's the hold harmless, or not hold harmless, whatever you're calling it. My question is this, the $2.6 million fee cost of the Washington State improvements, yes, they paid for it, but it looks like it's ultimately going to be funded by people on the line. Is that a correct statement or incorrect statement? Thank you.
Staff will answer your questions after the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But, so
I
that
guess
was-
unless staff wants to answer that question
Okay,
now.
thank you.
Mayor, would you like me to answer that question now?
Well, it gets hard to understand what the mayor wants or doesn't want anymore, but let's just say yes. Why don't you answer that question?
We are talking about two separate projects. One was the Upper Mountain View pressure zone. The other was the main extension that was paid for by Washington State Patrol, which, yes, the $2.6 million that was paid by Washington State Patrol to install the main will be reimbursed by these latecomers fees that are assigned to each parcel that could be serviced by this line. That is a correct statement.
Okay, and if the Washington State Patrol hadn't committed to that $2.6 million, would there be a water line running out there?
No, there would not be.
There would not be. All right, I think that's pretty clear. Any other questions?
I guess I think we should make it clear that these fees won't be assessed on these properties until or if they connect to our water line. These are not going to be bills that are going out. This is just their portions of this water line extension.
Yes, that's correct. Isn't it? Right, they're not getting a $100,000 bill tomorrow. They get the bill.
Only if they hook up to the line and start using water. That is correct.
Okay,
Thanks for the clarification.
thank you.
You had to think about that for a long time, Craig.
I was wondering if I was supposed to answer it.
Oh,
Well, you're doing good. So, any other questions for Craig Gregory concerning this subject?
no, I don't.
Okay, I don't either. So at this point, I think what I'm asking for is a motion from this commission to approve.
I move to approve the Washington State Patrol Latecomers Agreement by allowing the mayor to sign the agreement.
I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. All right, stay there, don't sit down. Item number 3 under the action agenda is concerning the Mason County garbage contract, and our Public Works Director, Craig Gregory, will talk to us about that at this time.
Thank you again, Mayor, Commissioners. This, again, has, as we discussed last week, this has been in negotiations for better than 6 months now, and looked at for better than a couple of years now, of what we actually wanted to do with the solid waste utility. And we are happy to bring forward a final contract that has been reviewed by not only staff, but also our legal team. WCIA also took a look at it, and this is the final draft of the utility agreement for privatizing solid waste services with Mason County. And I would be happy to answer any questions. We do have a couple of answers to the questions that you had last week. I hope I can remember all of them, but if I can't, certainly feel free to ask any others. The one question that kind of stuck with me was the language for recycling that we clarified. It was an old definition that we had in the original contract, and that has been changed and updated to basically incorporate all plastics into the recycling stream, including potting containers and various plastic buckets. So basically anything plastic can go in there.
So just for me, under our current standards, or the way I believe, the thin plastic sacks go in the garbage container. I haven't been putting my plastic sacks in the plastic recycling. Because I thought I was told someplace years back, the plastic sacks go into garbage. All those other kinds of plastic go into. So are we saying plastic sacks can go into the plastic recycling?
No, I don't believe so. We were talking more
Right.
about the actual containers, plastic containers,
Yes.
that I think we got clarification on and a new definition.
That's the way I saw that.
Will we be able to do our cardboard the same? I know that before, when we had big cardboard boxes, we could break them down and set them next to the recycling bin. But here it says we have to put them into the container, the cardboard. There's big pieces. It means we have to break them down, cut them into little pieces and put them in?
If that's what their standards are saying, that's what we will need to
Okay.
abide by. I'm not aware of us making, as the city of Shelton, making an extra out of the truck trip to pick those up. So I'm unaware of us.
I've never done that. I just heard from somebody that has been done before. So I don't know. I'm just
I never did
repeating
it.
the question.
I cut mine up into little pieces.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that they should have had an out-of-truck fee assessed if they were going to get out for those larger items.
Okay.
So I don't
All right.
think that will be any different for Mason County Garbage.
Okay.
Commissioner Moore?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that under definitions, the plastic still has the more restrictive language. On page 4, letter M. So that you might want to make
Oh,
those.
I'm sorry. Good catch. Yeah, we did have that language changed, but that is a good catch.
It should echo, yeah.
So should it read all plastics?
There is a different definition that we have from Mason County Garbage that basically, yes, it is all plastics, including plastic buckets. The one big thing in here was the size of the neck and the body of the container.
Right.
But yes, Commissioner Moore, we will get that changed.
Thank you.
I had another question. Oh my gosh, I forgot it.
It'll come back to you. So on the 10-year point, for 10 years, and then it's a 20-year contract with a 10-year, what exactly do we have at that 10-year point? Didn't we have some negotiating power or something we review, or is that another extension?
The extensions went away, Mayor. We are on
Extensions went away.
it is going to be a 20-year contract. The first 10 years, it is 100% of the CPI with a minimum of 2.5% and a maximum of 4.5%. And then in the second 10 years, it is just 100% of the CPI with no minimum and no maximum on the second 10-year. But this is a 10-year contract, or 20-year contract.
20.
Thank you.
If that CPI, let's say, is that after the 10 years when we start the 100% CPI, so if it is low for the first couple years, it's great. But what if it goes up 1 year and then it goes back down? Do the rates adjust according to up and down? They will adjust, right? So if like let's say the 13th year, the CPI goes, for some unforeseen reason, goes up to 10%. So that means the rates will be increased, right?
The rates will reflect a 10%
So
increase.
then the 14th year, let's say it drops down. Well, then our rates will reflect that drop and we'll go back down?
No, it will be another, unless it's a negative CPI, it will be, so if in year 13 it's 10%, those rates will go up from year 12 to 13 by 10%. And then let's just hypothetically say from year 13 to 14, it's 1%. It will be a 1% increase from year 13 to 14. So whatever that increase is compounded onto the next year, as we would do the same.
Are we looking at the CPI for which areas are we looking to compare the CPI with?
It is
Seattle, Tacoma, Bremerton?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct for
All right.
October, I believe is what it was.
Okay, Seattle, Tacoma, and Bremerton.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This has been a well-debated subject. We've talked about this a little bit. Are there any more questions or comments?
One more. So if we had kept the solid waste, we would be doing the same rate increase. We would do the CPI, right? If we kept it in the solid waste.
When we looked at this most recently, we talked about an 8% increase if we kept
Right.
things exactly the way they were right now, an initial 8% increase, and then a 3% increase every year after that, unless for some reason the CPI went,
Crazy.
as your example, went to 10%.
Right.
It's likely that at that point, we would have to increase above that 3% because everything is going to be costing more
Okay, so
at that point.
So we're saying here that we would have handled the rates the same as Mason County Garbage is.
We would have handled our rates to whatever our need was to keep the solid waste utility running in the black.
Okay, all right.
We would not want to have a deficit at the end of the year. So whatever we would need to keep that utility running would be passed on to the customers.
Okay, very good. I had another question. Tracy, I'm sorry, do you have some more questions? I keep blurbing on. Do you have any more?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I have one more thing to say.
Okay,
and
so,
that's it.
is there, I know people have been questioning about how many times they can opt to have their garbage picked up. Is it gonna be, they're gonna run that garbage pickup just like the city would? You have to do it every 2 weeks, you have no choice, you can't say I want it once a month?
That's correct.
Okay.
They do offer in the county once a month service at this point, but they are not interested, within this negotiation, they were not interested in offering once a month to city residents. And I think it's a good idea for the city just to continue with garbage service, to continue the same services we have now. I don't think it would be a great idea to offer once a month services. You would really be promoting somebody or offering them something that they could then take advantage of, where they were only using once a month, and really they maybe needed every other week or weekly service to keep up on their garbage. So that could become an issue for us. It seems to have been very well thought out of what we were offering within the city. That is what we have always offered, was either every other week or weekly service. So I would not suggest at this point to, and it's not an option in this, to go to once a month service.
Okay. All right. I think I'm done.
Okay, so I said a lot about this. My only question and I don't know if this is the time to discuss it, but it's very relevant, is have we identified a revenue source to pay for the cleanup of the C Street dump? Before it was going to come out of our garbage, solid waste fund. So
We have not in either example. We have not, at one point, you did vote to increase rates to go towards the C Street cleanup. Those funds are not available at this point. Those funds were used to keep this utility afloat. So through us having the city of Shelton having the garbage service, there was not an option or a source to fund C Street. And within this, there is not that option either.
So that will be a complete other discussion. Okay.
What we talked about, there is some grant funding available possibly when we find out what it is. We still don't have any kind of number on what it will take to clean up the C Street landfill. So was there some grant opportunities available that we may be able to get money to help pay for that? We have already received some from the Department of Ecology, I believe.
That's correct. We have received some for the remedial investigation. We will actually be going back in July and looking for more funding to study that cleanup. We are going to be a little short at this point of the original grant. So we will be going back to Department of Ecology looking for some more grant money to assist with that. But moving forward, after we have a cleanup action actually in place, we will need to go back and look for additional grant funding to do an actual cleanup at that point.
And another comment about things that we need to think about having money to do and whatnot is we are planning a financial retreat, I believe. Our board is within a month or so, and that would be a great time to talk about things that I think it's a good idea to save towards things instead of all of a sudden maybe waking up and say, gee, we need to increase our rate by 39% to fund something. I think it's always good to take a look out and see what things are doing. It's kind of hard to save for something if you have no idea what it's going to cost you. But I think at our retreat, that would be an excellent subject to talk about. Maybe saving some money for the C Street landfill cleanup.
And we're going to have $700,000 that we're receiving, right?
That is correct.
And so that can be put into, and you and I already talked about this, but I just want everyone to hear this, that we can decide where that $700,000, if we want to put it into a secure account to save for the C Street cleanup.
I think that is a discussion that,
Okay.
yes, we need to have of where that money's actually going to go and what we're going to do with it.
Okay.
Any more questions or comments? You have one? Oh, okay, public input, yes.
Marilyn Vogler.
Marilyn Vogler, 420 East Poplar. I've heard a lot of discussion from commissioners about saving the ratepayers' utility fees and about ways to reduce utilities. And if you approve this contract as written, it's really a missed opportunity to do this. As Craig mentioned, the county has options for how often they have garbage picked up, including monthly, or the option to call when you need it picked up, whether that's every other week for a while and then every month. They also have an option of paying only for recycling and self-hauling your garbage. And I wish there were more trust in the residents of Shelton. Many of us don't generate enough garbage, even under the city's regulations, to put it out every other week. I'm one of those people. Many people who live alone are in the same situation. And so this was a chance you could have allowed us a way to reduce our utility rates, and you ignored it. I think if you looked at Schedule A, you'll see that many of us will find our rates going up because there are many items there that we're charged for down to the penny that the city has been doing routinely anyway, but now will be charged, including picking up cardboard. And I know when I moved here, I was instructed large cardboard pieces should be flattened and put beside the garbage can, and I've never been charged an out-of-truck fee. As far as enforcing it by turning off water, Craig, you said last week in the meeting, this is not a mechanism to get Mason County paid. It's a mechanism to make sure everybody in the city is using solid waste services. My question remains, if I refuse to pay Mason County garbage, and you can look outside my house and inside my house and see no accumulation of garbage because I chip my yard waste and haul my garbage myself, what justification do you have for turning off my water? I think you need to rethink this contract. I think it is a bad deal for the citizens of Shelton, and as I said, it's a missed opportunity to save your ratepayers some money.
Thank you.
David Fifke?
Couple comments. Why a 20-year, David Pifke, why a 20-year contract? Nobody does 20-year contracts. I've been a contractor for a number of years for different corporations. You get a 5-year at maximum with an extension of maybe 3 years, or you get a 3-year contract with extensions of 1, 2, or 3 years at a time afterwards. 20 years, I can make $1 million for myself on this type of contract. What happens to the average citizen living on a fixed income as the rates keep skyrocketing? And you say at the end, there's no just 2.5% minimum fee. You're going to make some person on a fixed income try to debate whether I eat this tonight or I have this because I got to pay this bill. You're not looking out for the senior citizen or those living on a fixed income. You're looking at getting a few dollars ahead right now by selling your equipment. Great. What are you going to do with the money? What happens when is there an opt-out clause? So you can bail out of this contract at some point and say, hey, you didn't live up to it. Who do I complain to when the garbage is not picked up on time or not picked up at all? Those are things that need to be discussed before anybody signs a contract. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Okay, so we have a question before us here, and we have been debating this for a while. I will say that in looking out for seniors, which I am one, I didn't really think I was going to be a senior that quick, but it caught up to me. I think privatizing the garbage service is necessary. I think it is vital. I'll go back to the story. Everybody might not have been here, but I was in SeaTac at a mayor's conference, and I asked the question. We were considering privatizing our garbage service or keeping it, and 9 out of 10 mayors said, why are you in the garbage business? They all had privatized their system. Only one city said they thought it was to their advantage to keep their garbage service. I think we have a lot more guaranteed to the seniors of a lower continual rate this way than us, because we are not in the garbage business. We have the ability to say, oh, we got a big bill, we're going to have to raise your rates we have in the past. And I think we are much safer and will be a lot better off at a consistent lower fee than if the city ran this. And because the proof is, what has the city done? We could go back over the history of what this utility costs us, and like you said, we needed an 8% raise just to keep it solvent. So I think the track record shows that we are not real good at running a garbage service, and I am in support of privatizing the system. So that's how I feel about it. We have negotiated this contract. We've talked about the contract. We've got a fixed rate on the 4.5. And sometimes you have to make a decision. We could put this off. We could think about it. We could talk about it. And so it's our decision. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's our decision. And my desire is for the senior citizens and low-income families to get the best stable service at the best rate. And I see it in this contract. So that's my opinion on it. My fellow commissioners we can push it, keep pushing it down the road, but I think we've had months and months to talk about this and examine it, and some good things have come from it. And so that's kind of where I am.
I'm not sure what I want to say on this. My thought on this, selling this, is I believe it's a good thing for the city, because we out there, if we kept the solid waste utility, we would wonder when we're going to have to raise the rates again and how much we would have to do it. This is a solid, and I know not everyone agrees with this. There's people that say this is a bad deal for the city. There's people who say this is a good deal for the city, and that's the way the discussion should go. There's going to be people that will not like this, and there's going to be people that will like this. Personally, I'm a little uncomfortable with how we're going to enforce someone getting their garbage picked up by turning their water off. If there was any other solution, if we could come up with that, that's down the road. We can figure that out, talk about that at a later date, how we're going to enforce this. But I feel at this point this is the best thing for the city. And that's it. I feel this is the best thing for the city.
I've been, from the beginning, opposed to privatizing our garbage service, and I remain opposed. I know I appreciate how hard staff has worked on negotiations and on the contract, but I feel like our citizens do not want the garbage to be privatized. And I feel like there were some questions that weren't answered, and I feel that by signing this contract and disposing of our solid waste department, that we are giving up an opportunity to revamp our one of our few revenue streams that we have coming in. I'm concerned about the reaction of the funding agencies that we will be applying to funds for the C Street cleanup. And I feel like we are maybe not showing the best face forward, I guess, as far as taking responsibility for that. I remain opposed.
Okay, so let's just talk for a second about what the cost of a new truck would be. Okay, what, $400,000? I don't know. Do you know what a new dump truck or garbage truck would cost?
We haven't purchased one in a few years, but I think your number is fairly accurate.
It's like $400,000.
I think it might be a touch high,
Okay.
but yes.
$350,000. Okay. So where are we going to get the $350,000 to buy a new garbage truck?
That would have to come from the ratepayers.
Sure. Okay, and it's kind of like this. It's kind of like I'm looking at the history of the way the city of Shelton has raised its rates in not just the garbage, but in water and sewer rates also, and we have not. We have just raised and raised and raised. I mean, if anybody wants to know, am I concerned about raising rates on senior citizens or low income, talk to our city manager and ask him what I tell him every time I see him. I say, how can I help these people? How can I help the poor people? How can I help senior citizens? How can I make their rates go down? You know, where can we find the money to lower the sewer rate? I mean, I talk about it every time. That's why he's probably kind of bored with me talking to him. But I am a businessman, and to a degree, I'm a very successful businessman. I've been involved with several businesses in my life, and you're never going to make everybody happy. But if I have to put my trust in MASCOM, or not MASCOM, I do put my trust in Mascom. 911, please. They all left the room. But if I had to put my trust in the quality of service for the price at Mason County Garbage Supplies, and what we do, and because of our history, we're not real good at managing this business. And because all of a sudden we didn't save for the new truck. We need a new truck. Okay, up the rates. What do we got to up the rates? 10%? You know, I mean, there is stability in this, and I mean, we can kick it down the road. We can talk about it, you know, postpone it. But you know, I'm just I've thought about it a lot, and I think it is a much better way to go to make the decision to do that. So again, that's kind of why I'm looking at it. You know, I mean, if Commissioner Moore wanted to postpone this conversation for a week or two, it's not the end of the world. I mean, you know, but I don't know. I mean, McDowell, Moore, whatever. I mean, we're three people here trying to make the best decision to save our ratepayers money for a quality of service.
Mayor, if I could add just a little clarity to this. Pushing it down the road at this point is not necessarily an option with this. We would be starting negotiations over again. The negotiations were to start this July 1, which is only a few weeks away. So if we continue to kick this down the road,
there's no more kicking left.
We are going to be back at the table negotiating, which may take an extended amount of time. And if I answer just a few of the questions, Mayor, you're exactly right. We have not run this business very well. There wasn't a lot of forethought and insight into what we were actually doing with this business. And with that came some glaring issues and problems with this utility. As Marilyn mentioned, no out-of-truck fee. And there is a reason why we didn't have an out-of-truck fee. The guys they're nice. They've got great customer service. They didn't think anything of it jumping out of the truck and picking up extra trash or extra recycling, which takes time, which costs money. So if we were continue to run this utility, we would have to run it like a business. And that would mean to charge for every service. That doesn't mean that we give somebody a break on jumping out and grabbing an extra bag of garbage or grabbing some extra recycling. If we're 3 blocks away and somebody had forgotten to put their garbage out and they call and we get that phone call to go back around the block, that is costing fuel, time to go back to those customers and pick those up. 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, we would go back as a courtesy to pick that garbage up that somebody had woken up late and didn't get out to do that. That is awesome customer service. And the 3 solid waste utility employees for years have offered the best customer service that you could ever ask for. The issue that we have with this is we cannot continue to do that. So if we offered this service, we would need to start charging for everything that we should be charging for now, and Mason County Garbage will charge for in the future. And the question of the 20-year contract, we have thought and talked with staff. Ryan and I have talked numerous hours over this and what kind of time frame you would be looking at. The issue with the 20-year contract is that you have one hauler in the area. You have one hauler within a 30-mile radius of Shelton that could provide this service. So to negotiate with them and get out of the business, if you only signed a 5-year contract and you sold off all of your equipment, then the advantage goes to Mason County Garbage in 5 years when you go to negotiate a new contract. So we took that into consideration, thinking how long would it be before another hauler got close enough to the area to provide the service. And that may be 20 years down the road before there is somebody in close proximity that could offer a competitor to Mason County Garbage. So that definitely went into our thought with this contract and the length of it. What we did not want to do is get out of this in 5 years, or now, and go back and look at this in 5 years and get a much worse deal out of this than what we have right now. Negotiating with Mason County Garbage was in our advantage right now. In 5 years, it would not be. And I would hate to see what this contract looks like if we went back and negotiated in 5 years. And in my opinion, this contract is the best business decision for the city of Shelton. It offers the best rates for our customers, and we have looked at this at every angle. So to try to answer these questions, we hope after 2 years, we have looked at every different option. And especially in the last 6 months, we have definitely had so many conversations of every piece of this and every angle of this contract that, yeah, there may be some things that we miss, but hindsight's 20/20, and we will see maybe later in the future of maybe we did miss a piece of this, but we have had everybody within the city of Shelton take a look at this. And this is what we feel is the best business decision at this point.
I have another comment.
Sure.
And this is going back to some of the other comments that were made. I am uncomfortable with giving Mason County Garbage that monopoly for 20 years. It means that we don't have an avenue for our citizens to negotiate for a different service or a different rate structure. Another thing that is, we're talking about how we don't want to raise the rates, and we would have to raise the rates if the utility were to stay with the city. Well, the rates are going up with Mason County Garbage, so I feel like we still have some responsibility for that. And granted, we did not do the rate increases that would have kept the utility more solvent, but we're not solving that by, it doesn't change the fact that we're doing that. It just shoves the responsibility over to Mason County Garbage. And my final point is that this utility is not owned by the three of us. It is owned by the citizens. And by and large, I do believe that most of the comments that we have received have been from the citizens who are asking us to wait to look at more options. And I don't feel like they've really been heard. So that's my final comment on this.
Thank you. In response to that, the majority of comments that I've heard from experienced business people, and I've talked to 3 of them this morning about this issue, is this is the right way to go. So you get comments back from whoever. We don't do questions. We have the sign in and the comments and stuff.
You brought up other points.
Yeah, but we don't, if you want to talk again about this issue, you're more than welcome to do that. We will open up another public opportunity for you to do that. But what happens is I'll finish my talk, and then this commissioner will talk, and then if you have already signed up, so we'll use your sign-up sheet again and allow you to speak again. So we're just running the meeting the way we have agreed to run the meeting. So back to what I was talking about is that the city of Shelton basically does not have the experience to do the garbage service into the 21st plus century, because our history says that we have just done it as, just kind of like a hobby. We have not set the money aside to maintain the trucks. We have not had the employees charged when they go back on the trips, which means we're not going to do it in the future. We do many things wonderful, and I think this is an example of something we're doing that could be wonderful. But if you're trying to get, 80 or 90% of the people to agree on anything, as we know, is a very difficult task. So we are been voted in to make these decisions, and I have thought about it, talked to many people. Many of my close friends can be on the other side of this issue, but we don't make decisions about what our close friends tell us. What we do is we make decisions based upon what all of the people, the counselors, tell us. And again, when I went and talked to a whole room full of mayors, 9 of them said, what are you in the garbage business for? Privatize it. And one said, to keep it. It's just, it adds up with good, solid business experience. And I believe the ratepayers will get a better deal and a more consistent deal, and less of our history of raising the rates extreme amounts when we run short in that. So, again, I'm for it. Commissioner Moore is against it, and then Commissioner McDowell has been talking about it, and so I guess it's your opportunity to...
I've said everything.
Okay, so what we're looking for at this point is this gentleman to say another few words, okay?
I do one more thing before this gentleman
Okay.
sends that. I do
Okay.
believe we have listened to many of the citizens
Absolutely.
of Shelton.
Everyone's had an opportunity for, 4 months to come to any one of these meetings and talk. So, sir, you can come up and talk.
David Pifke. The question is, why haven't we run this basically as a business? This city business, this is a city, and it has city business. If we are not in the business to run, then why, we're going to get rid of it. In 20 years, there may only be one. We may get hung out again to dry, and they may want triple the rates. We don't know what's happening. Nobody here is projecting the future. We cannot tell what's going down. But whatever the legacy you are leaving for other people to follow in 15 to 20 years is what you are looking at today. You are tying somebody down to one thing for 20 years. Could you have made a decision 20 years ago to do what you're doing today? No, you didn't. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment on this opportunity? This is your opportunity. Seeing no one rushing forward at this point, what's...
Marilyn. May I add one very short comment?
Well, it looks like we're bending all the rules and doing everything wrong, so go ahead.
Marilyn Vogler, I want to make it clear I'm not opposed to privatization of the garbage service. I am opposed to a contract that denies the citizens of Shelton the same opportunities in utilizing this service that the customers in Mason County have.
Okay, thank you. Public comment period is over. Thank you very much. Now, we're faced with making a decision. Okay, so staff is recommending that we approve and sign this contract with Mason County Garbage to provide solid waste services for the city of Shelton. Okay. So, do I have a motion?
I will make that motion. I move to approve and sign the contract with Mason County Garbage to provide solid waste services to the city of Shelton.
And I second that motion. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I am opposed.
Okay, so the motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, next on our agenda is a business agenda, and there is no business at this time. Administration reports. I will turn the meeting over at this time to our city manager, Ryan Wheaton.
Just one thing, Mayor and Commissioners. We wanted to give a recap of our involvement with Forest Festival, so I gave that to you, and we left some on the back table as well. Just a quick rundown of the cost that the city put forward for the day of Forest Festival. Total cost from the 4 departments that were involved, just under $10,000 at $9,610, and that is in addition to the $8,000 of LTAC funds that were provided through the budget process, and those will be distributed in the next few weeks. So the goal in presenting this is that we have a clear representation of what it costs us to help put on Forest Festival, and that we're budgeting for next year, 2018, that we have a jump start on that.
Great.
That's a good idea. I never thought about how much it costs.
It costs.
It costs a good amount.
Now you know, riding in that float
Riding in that car with the hole in the
costs
roof.
you some money.
I had a question.
Sure.
If you're finished. I have been approached by more and more citizens asking about the potential for moving from a commission form government to a council form government. And I know there's been some research on that. I was wondering if we could have staff look more closely at that issue to bring back the details as to what would be required to do that.
It'll take a little bit of time, but we can take a look.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, any more from the city manager?
That's it for me.
Our next meeting will be Monday, June 19th at 6 p.m. in the evening. This meeting is adjourned.